You know, most battles are won with swords and shields, right? With brute force. But the Battle of Plataea, one of the most important victories in all of history, was actually won months before the first spear was thrown. It was won with a clever lie and a massive, high-stakes bluff. This wasn't just a battle, it was a masterclass in strategy that didn't just win a war, it literally helped forge Western civilization.
So I want you to put yourself in their shoes for a second. This was the impossible reality facing the Greeks. Yeah, they just had that amazing naval victory at Salamis, but their main city, Athens, was a pile of smoking ashes. And the Persian land army, this colossal force, was still there, camping out on their home turf. Victory didn't just feel far away, it felt impossible. So what do?
Well, the first move wasn't a physical one. It wasn't on the battlefield at all. It was a mind game. A brilliant psychological operation aimed right at the head of the whole thing, the Persian king Xerxes.
Okay, so let's get the lay of the land here. You can see the imbalance is critical. The Greeks, their morale is sky high after Salamis, but on land, they are completely, totally outmatched. Their commander, a very cunning guy named Themistocles, knew that a straight-up fight would be suicide. He had to cripple the Persian will to fight before the real battle even began.
So what does he do? He sends a secret message. And it's genius. It's not a threat, it's framed as a friendly warning, a helpful tip-off. He tells Xerxes, hey, just so you know, the Greeks are about to sail up and destroy that bridge you built, your only way home. See, he didn't attack the Persian army. He attacked the king's personal escape route. He put Xerxes into a state of absolute panic.
And you know what? It worked like a charm. Xerxes didn't even think twice. He grabbed his best guards, abandoned his huge army, all his supplies, everything, and he just bolted for Asia. In one single move, Themistocles basically decapitated the entire Persian invasion, leaving his very ambitious general, Mardonius, to clean up the mess.
So now, our story shifts to Mardonius. Now, he's a good commander, a really capable guy, but he's just been handed an absolute nightmare. He's trapped in a hostile country with a demoralized army whose king has just bailed on them.
I mean, just think about his position. He's camping in the ruins of Athens, the food probably tastes like smoke, morale is in the gutter, he knows a direct fight against a bunch of angry, vengeful Greeks is a massive risk. So being a pretty savvy operator, he decides to try a different weapon: diplomacy.
And this is key. Mardonius knew that King Xerxes really only cared about one thing: saving face. He didn't need Greece's money or their land, he just needed to be able to say he won. So Mardonius makes this incredible offer to the Athenians. He says, listen, we will pay to rebuild your entire city, you can keep your government, your laws, you won't have to pay any taxes. All you have to do is just say we're in charge. It was a deal designed to be completely impossible to refuse.
But the Athenians, they were just as clever. They looked at this incredibly generous offer, not as a chance for peace, but as a political weapon. A weapon they could use against their very powerful, but also very reluctant, ally, Sparta.
So instead of just writing back to Mardonius and saying no thanks, they take his letter and they march it right over to the Spartan leadership. I mean, what a brilliant political move. They weren't just rejecting an offer, they were engineering a crisis that Sparta could not ignore.
They basically laid the letter down and gave Sparta an ultimatum. Look at this amazing deal Persia's giving us. If you guys don't commit your army and march north to fight with us, right now, we have no choice but to accept it. And then, this giant Persian army becomes our new best friend. Your move. It was a perfect political checkmate.
Now, Sparta's response was slow, but when it came, it was decisive. Once they finally realized the threat, they didn't just send a few soldiers. They sent 10,000 heavy infantry hoplites. For Sparta, whose citizen population was actually tiny, sending this many wasn't just sending an army. It was like sending their entire society to war. They were all in.
And just like that, the stage was set. The combined Greek army, led by the young Spartan regent Pausanias, marched to meet Mardonius on the plains of Plataea. This wasn't just going to be a battle of swords and shields. This was a battle of wits between two brilliant commanders.
So the core tactical problem was pretty simple. The Greeks had the best heavy infantry in the world. These guys were basically walking tanks, almost invincible in a head-on fight. But the Persians had elite cavalry and archers, which are perfect for wide-open spaces. They could just hit and run, harassing the slow-moving Greeks to death from a distance.
So this was the puzzle facing the Spartan general Pausanias. He's on the absolute worst possible terrain for his army. These open plains were a playground for cavalry. A direct fight would be a total slaughter. How in the world could he possibly win this?
His solution was as brilliant as it was controversial: a feigned retreat. Now, this was almost unthinkable for Spartans. Their entire code was built on never, ever retreating. Pausanias had to spend a whole night arguing with his own commanders to get them to agree. The plan was simple: pretend to break and run, and lure the overconfident Persians into the uneven, wooded foothills where their horses would be useless. Mardonius, seeing the legendary Spartans turning their backs and running, thought he'd already won. Victory was his. He ordered an immediate, all-out charge. His elite cavalry thundered across the plain, and his whole army scrambled to follow, their formations completely breaking down in the chaos and excitement. He fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
So, just as the Spartans reached the high ground, they turned, locked their shields into that impenetrable wall, and crashed down into the disorganized Persians. The battle was a chaotic mess, but Mardonius, leading from the front in his magnificent armor, made one fatal mistake. A Spartan soldier saw him, picked up a rock, and threw it with everything he had. It hit Mardonius right in the head, killing him instantly.
The death of Mardonius just shattered the Persian army's will to fight, and it turned into a complete rout. But the battle's most powerful, most profound moment actually came after all the fighting was over.
And the results were just staggering. I mean, look at these numbers. The Greeks lost a little over 1,000 men. The Persian army wasn't just defeated, it was annihilated. This gives you a sense of the sheer scale of this victory.
So, in the aftermath, the victorious Spartans find the body of Mardonius, and remembering how the Persians had mutilated their own king Leonidas at Thermopylae, they demanded revenge. They wanted to do the same thing to the enemy commander's body.
But Pausanias refused. With this simple, powerful statement, he drew a line in the sand. He ordered that Mardonius be given a full, honorable burial. This single act was meant to show that they were fighting for something more than just survival. They were fighting for a civilized ideal, for a different way of being.
And that is really why this all matters. The victory at Plataea did more than just end the Persian invasion. It guaranteed the survival of Greek independence. It allowed their unique culture of philosophy, democracy, and science to flourish, and to ultimately shape the world that we all live in today.
From a single lie sent to a panicked king, all the way to a fake retreat on a battlefield, the story of Plataea shows us that sometimes the sharpest weapon isn't a spear, it's the human mind. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other huge turning points in history have come down to a single, brilliant, and incredibly daring choice.